Good afternoon, everyone. I mean, I hate to break up the party, but in the spirit of trying to not stand any longer than I need to between you and tasty beverages and goodies to eat, I thought I would keep with the Dean Page tradition of starting at the appointed time. So thank you all for being here. It's a lovely day to continue our celebration of Research Celebration Week. So thank you all for taking time to be here this afternoon. And our Zoom land folks, I understand probably some are joining in by Zoom as well. Do we have a count, Bruce?
Only have 6 people.
6 people by Zoom. That's okay. You know, like people build over time, you know, the word gets out on the street and then it travels for miles and miles and then people get to their closest laptop so they can tune in via Zoom. It's also the case we might want to have like just a collective loving moment. Many of our chairs were called into an important meeting in the 4 to 5 o'clock hour. So I got a nice note from several folks saying, it's not that we're blowing you off, Dean Tracy. We have to be at this other really, really critical meeting. And so there may be some folks filtering in as the session goes on. So I appreciate your patience with just welcoming people in and helping them find chairs if they show up a little bit late. This is my 3rd annual celebration of excellence in research in the College of Medicine, and I'm thrilled to be here and thrilled to have you guys here. So far, for those of you who haven't been able to participate in some of this week's events, I thought I'd just give a quick recap of where we've been so far this week. Dan Weiss, is Dan here? Dan in the house? Dan in the house. Dan kicked us off this week with a really spectacular research laureate talk about his wonderful career and the wild ride that I had no idea. Believe it or not, he started out in endocrinology and ended up with lungs. And he told a really captivating story about his journey, and I think was really appreciated. It was a great way to start the week. Tuesday morning, many of us gathered at our Colchester Research Facility for the ribbon cutting for the new BioLabs FICO incubator. And, you know, the obligatory handsome shot of folks post ribbon cutting. That afternoon, we had our student poster session here in the Hale Gallery and all throughout the Gibbon Courtyard, well attended and lots of great science being done by our learners. And then last night, we had our 3rd annual research rally where we had folks from the community tell 7-minute TED-style stories about their science and or their research origin story. And again, really well attended, really great energy. And to everybody who showed up, thank you for supporting the events. For our storytellers, some of them are here today. Thank you for sharing your stories. You're going to see that as I do my address later in the hour. Storytelling is a big part of what I'm going to try to encourage everyone to do as we meet the moment that we're in. With that, Dean Page is unable to join us this year. He had some personal matters that he had to attend to. Was it autoplay? I don't remember.
Good evening, everyone. I'm joining you from the Caparizzo Lab to offer my welcome and my apology for not being able to be there with you in person this evening. I did want to join the celebration somehow. This is the 3rd annual Research Week as reimagined by Senior Associate Dean Kate Tracy. And it's been an exciting week so far, and the events keep coming. Research is a key mission for Larner College of Medicine, and I'm so proud of our students, faculty, and staff, and all their accomplishments. I'm also really proud of the fact we've contributed to UVM for the first time being designated as a Carnegie R1 research institution. This is an opportunity this evening to enjoy each other's company and celebrate the accomplishments of our scientists. I also want to highlight that tomorrow at 12:30, Dr. Stefan Lindert from UCLA is going to be delivering the Stetson Lecture. Please plan to attend that as well. Again, I wish I could be with you in person this evening. Dean Tracy, who I want to acknowledge and thank for her reimagining Research Week, will take it over from here. I wish you a good evening.
A round of applause for Dean Page in absentia. And with that, we will move to the awards. So the first award that we'll be presenting this evening is the Dean's Excellence award for outstanding research publication. This is an award that recognizes the outstanding research of a medical student. Nominations were required for the person. They must be a first author on a peer-reviewed research paper, and the description of the trainee's contributions to the publication needed to be significant and of high impact. Our nominees this year are Joseph Dew, Christine Horn, Sarah Krumholtz, John Rustad, Julie Scholes, Ava Siegel, and Kathleen Waldner. And I believe we have a tie, correct? A tie. Yay. So the first award goes to Sarah Krumholtz, whose mentor is Dr. Tim Plant, for soluble receptor for advanced glycation end products and incident hypertension in regards, which is a very large cohort study. So, and Kayla, can I just ask you here? Excellent. And award winner number 2 is John Rustad, mentor Mirabelle Sebi, for the paper Teleflexible Laryngoscopy enables remote specialty airway evaluation in rural emergency medicine. Is John here? He's not here. Anyone like to accept on his behalf? We're inclusive that way. Well, shout out to John. Our next award is the Outstanding Research Publication for a graduate student. Similar kinds of things, needed to be a student who'd made meaningful contributions, first author, so on and so forth. And our nominees are Cameron Cordero, Will Dowell, and Allison Langley. And the winner is, we got to incorporate that next year into it. Success is never final. We always want to improve our game at year over year. And the winner is Cameron Cordero for contributions to the oxidation-induced mutational landscape in human cells. Steve Roberts, is Steve with us? Both are here. Didn't get the memo.
Yeah, sure.
Our next award is for the Outstanding Research Publication for a Postdoctoral Fellow. And the nominees are Mohammed Al-Mahadi, Deborah Kamamukaz, Dina Snoke, and Jake Warner. And the winner is Dina Snoke. I think Dina couldn't be with us, but I think her mentor, Michael Toth, is going to accept on her behalf. Congratulations. Our next category is Outstanding Research Publication for a Resident. The nominees are Tessalyn Morrison and Karina Zhang Peterson. And the winner is Karina Zhang Peterson. Brian Bragg, mentor. Is Karina with us? Good. What?
She's my chief resident. I'm gonna call her.
Thanks, Margaret. All right. The next category of awardees or nominees are the Clinical Research Coordinator staff nominees. Big list of nominees because our clinical coordinators are what makes the projects go round. And the nominees are Paul Branch, Emma Bryant, Rebecca Chouquet, Olivia Garrow, Amy Henderson, Rebecca Hibbard, Emily Houston, Alex Nauman, Margaret Parker, Shirley Polchinski, Anna Raymond, and Tiffany Sharp. That's a big list. Round of applause for all those nominees. Right? And the award goes to Emily Houston. You talk here?
I don't think so.
Right. And the next set of nominees are for scientific research staff, and the nominees are April Averill, Rebecca Boyle, Sydney Cohn-Guthrie, Dorothy Dixon, Beatrice Gerard, Haley Greenire, Mickey Krug, Miles Lamberson, Kira Lee, Ben McElvaney, Catherine Peasley Miklas, Hannah Ryan, and Adrian Sackheim. And the winner is Adrian Sackheim. Oh, am I allowed to share that?
Yeah.
Okay. So in every event, there's always a lot of fun along the way in the prep. And it was just shared with me that we actually had to devil Adrian a little bit and get him to get an updated headshot just for this occasion. So now you know why we needed an updated headshot. Oh, wow. That would have been fun. We should think about that for next year. Our next set of awards are for Clinical Trials Research Awards. The nominees are Matthew Gilbert, Alyssa Thomas, and Bradley Watts. And the winner is Bradley Watts. Brad. Is there anyone, Julie, in psychiatry or somebody who would like to accept on his behalf? And have a fabulous photo that.
Like, what did you do? What?
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Is she sad that she's not winning prizes? I get that. I feel that one. She's being so good there. Our next set of nominees are for Research Mentor, and the nominees are Julie Dumas, Valerie Harder, Bill Majgalani, Maya Reblin, Michael Toth, and Daniel Wolfson. I just can't give up the drum roll, sorry. I always want to be a rock drummer. And the winner is Michael Toth. Who I know. Anyway, you nominated Michael. Do you want to? Please come on up. The next set of nominees are for our Rising Star New Investigator. The nominees are Diego Adrazan Herrera, Bader Charani, Caitlin Haxel, Brigitte Lavoie, Sundar Nalaswamy, and Jinming Zhang. And winner is Bader Charani. Does somebody from psychiatry want to stand in for Rob or
No.
Perfect.
You do it, you, come on, yeah, you were.
Okay. Our next award is for mid-career investigators. These are associate professor level nominees. And the nominees are Jeremy Berry in neurological sciences and Jess Crothers in pathology and laboratory sciences. I'm sorry, I think of her as MMG and I almost said that out loud. And the winner is Jeremy Berry. And Jeremy was nominated by Margaret Vizard. Margaret, would you like to? Never let it be said that on the fourth day of research celebration week, I can't be funny because it's the funniest about. This is exciting. So I mentioned that Dan kicked us off this week with our research laureate lecture. And this next set of nominees, you win this year, but you get to give your talk next year at Research Celebration Week. So this is exciting and a lot of pressure because you'll be responsible for kicking off Research Celebration next week. Or not next week, next year. Please not next week. I need a break. And the nominees are Alexi Potter, Janet Stein, Michael Toth, and Margaret Vizard. And our research laureate awardee is Margaret Vizard. Even better than a jerk. Congratulations. And now we're going to sort of segue away from the UVM side awards, and the Health Network also gives a couple of awards, and the first of which is for Junior Researcher of the Year. And the winner of this year's Junior Researcher of the Year is Amanda Callan. Fun fact, which I forgot to put on the slide, there's a small cash box. I don't recall how much it is, but congratulations. And the last, this is the last ring. Yes, last award is for Senior Researcher of the Year, given by the University of Vermont Health Network, and the award goes to Brad Watts. We're gonna have lots of photos.
Yeah, I don't. I already texted him the other one. Oh, congratulations, Lieutenant. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, at this point in the program, we need a small transition because for those of you who've seen me give talks more than once, I don't actually like to stand at the podium. I really prefer my Madonna mic. So I'm going to take just a couple of seconds to put on my Madonna mic, and then we will move squarely into the research celebration address. So I just ask for a little bit of patience and don't look at me too carefully while I'm doing this. It's probably ugly. I mean, are we good? We're great. Okay, good. Wonderful. And Liz and I have a fun little tag team that we're going to do that will allow me to have a sort of teleprompter of sorts and also move about the space and advance the slides and have access to my notes. So the things that go into planning an event like this. And now my cords are all, anyway, well, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So that concludes the awards portion of the ceremony. Thank you all for that. How about one more round of applause for all the great awardees? And let's not lose sight of the nominees as well. So round of applause for all of our great nominees as well. Okay. Liz, are we in sync? Do I need like a signal? No, sorry, you'll figure it out. Sorry. Anyway, laughter. You might have to do a couple of clicks. I think I forgot to say that. There we go. Perfect. So I like to sort of start this section with a good bit of gratitude because if any of you have done event planning, God bless your hearts, because it is much, much harder than it looks. And it really does take a professional village to put together any single event. And this year, so 3 years ago, I turned it from a day-long research celebration into a week-long celebration. And I remember the look on Liz's face when I said, how about if we do it for a week? And you could tell, like, she was like, is this woman lost her mind? And I was like, no, not all day, every day for a week, just some signature event each day. And Liz was like, we can do that. We can figure that out. And so Research Celebration Week was born. And what we've tried to do as a group is pick something that speaks to each and every one of you at least one time during the week. So don't really expect everybody to show up for all 5 days, although I love it when you do. And I see the faces of those of you who do. So thank you for that. But if you just make it to one thing because it speaks to you, that's a win for me. And it's a great group of people that help get us through this week. So I want to thank Joanne and Liz and Chris Berger for being part of the planning committee. A very strong team in medical communications, Stephanie Knifick, John Turner, Ann Howard, Keely Keogh, Lucy Carson, Janet Franz, Margie Brenner, who do all of these little things. They write scripts for me, they take photos, they show up, they do video things for me that show up in my presentations, and they make it all look flawless. There's the AV guys, although I think I gave Jason credit, and I'm not sure Jason's been here this week. So Jason is getting a shout out. Bruce, sorry about that, my friend. It's all Bruce all the time this week. So round of applause for those folks. And then a bunch of Dean's Office folks as well. So Vicki Gilwey, Joanne McVeigh, Sydney Bergeron, Eric Gagnon, Sue Williams, Elena Mellis-Hewlett. Those are my space gurus, in part because we plopped into the middle of Research Celebration Week, that ribbon cutting for biolabs, which was extra special work. But it was a beautiful event Tuesday morning, and I'm so glad that we did. Also, so she's a very humble woman, but Liz Dorman here is the point person on all of this. And Liz does so many magical things to make events go flawlessly, to make them special. And God bless her heart, every time I say, well, can't we just? She's like, yes, we can. And she does it, including like the green carpet. I wanted a green rug for research rallies. She found me a green rug. I wanted a Madonna mic. She found me a Madonna bike. Bruce and Liz found me the, like, I told Liz told Bruce, it was a team effort. Liz makes it all look amazingly easy, and I know that it isn't. So round of applause for Liz Dorman for being our event guru and keeping your humor at all times when the rest of us might not. So thank you for that. We're gonna click, Liz. It also takes a village personally. So I took this job a little under 3 years ago, and this handsome salt and pepper guy helped me make that transition. And then he transitioned at the end of year 1. His name was Max, and he is the very best and most special dog ever. The folks in the middle, they are the core part of my pack. my love Britt, who is up in the top there, Ellie and Finn, and they make getting up every day all worth it. And then there are these replacement dogs, Bodie and Griff. They are very sweet animals, but they will never be a Max. But this is my pack. And it takes this kind of village to keep me going and keep my goodwill intact as we navigate some extraordinary times. So to you, Britt, I say thank you for being part of my pack. Click. So, this is an extraordinary time to be a dean of research. Some of you know. And so as I sat down, I wanted a theme for research celebration address, and I wanted to try to lift folks up. And what do you say to a crowd of folks when over the last 9 months, we have faced proposed reductions in funding for NIH, NSF, pick an agency, where we've had significant reductions in the workforce that supports the biomedical research enterprise, when the stability of grant allocations and future of long-term research has gotten uncertain for the first time, I think, in most of our career lifetimes, when the executive orders continue to come out in an effort to curtail funding for research not viewed as in alignment with the administration's priorities. Margaret, I had to put it in code, okay? Altered immigration policies are impacting our international researchers, our trainees, our students. And let's not lose sight of the swarm of Friday night executive orders coming out just to keep the uncertainty going. So that was sort of the backdrop against which I was thinking, what do I get up and say? Nice. Did you just feel that? No. So what I settled on for this year's theme is, in the arena of discovery, we must dare greatly. So how many of you are familiar with the Man in the Arena speech? Anyone? Few of us. So this was a speech that Teddy Roosevelt gave in his post-presidency period. And I looked up a little bit of the history of this because I wanted to know kind of what the historic context was of this. He was actually talking about engaged citizenship and what it meant to be an engaged citizen. And this isn't the whole Man in the Arena speech, because that would have been too long and you would have thought I'd lost my mind. But so I tried to just distill it down. It's not the critic who counts. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, who strives valiantly, who errs, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who at the best knows the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So that's what I'm going to walk you through for the rest of the conversation tonight. Is I'm going to invite each and every one of you to think about being a little bit brave and to think about the value of daring greatly as we continue to chase scientific discoveries. It is not really in my nature to sit on the sidelines for very long. And from the data I'm about to share with you, it seems to me that I am in good company in this group of folks. Because despite extraordinary disruption to our funding landscape, the biomedical research enterprise, and so forth, the LCOM community keeps showing up and keeps daring greatly. So what have we done? Some of you may recall we started convening campus-wide community meetings. First one, I think, was early in February. I took a call from Kirk Dombrowski, our VP of Research, at about 5:30 in the morning. He said, find me the biggest room on campus you can find, because we need to get in front of people and we need to try to bring some calm and share some information and so on and so forth. And here's where it takes a personal village comes into play. I was like, I don't know anything about getting a room on campus. The biggest place I know is the Davis Center. Britt's a stylist and she knows a lot of people. And I said, don't you know Heather at the Davis Center? Do you think if we contacted her, she could get me the big ballroom? And sure enough, Britt gave me Heather's text message and I texted her and she's like, oh, well, I don't do that anymore, but here's the person you need to talk to. And by 5 o'clock that afternoon, we had the Silver Maple Ballroom and it filled with a lot of people that day. And we had our very first community meeting. And we've continued to call community meetings. We do that for information sharing. We do it so that we can answer the questions that are on your mind and pressing upon you. We do it to be transparent, to offer our support to you as your leaders, and to do community building. And community building is something that I think we really need to lean into now and as we move forward. So what are the things we've done that were great? We got R1 designation. Yay, round of applause for R1 designation, come on. That is a designation earned by only about 3% of colleges and universities in the US. We are among a really prestigious group of research institutions that are well-funded and churn out high-power research consistently, and we're shaping the discoveries that are being made. So that is a big accomplishment for UVM. It is a big accomplishment for how we continue to attract talent in the form of staff, in the form of students, and in the form of faculty. So that R1 designation is a very big deal, and we should all feel very proud of the part that we played in that. And that takes me to the next thing we did. What did LCOM do during this tumultuous time? We held our ground on bringing in our research funding. We closed out fiscal year 25, just a titch below where we were for 24, with $99.9 million worth of research funding. So round of applause for bringing in the money. You know, we've had moments in the last 9 months where there have been threats to fully shut down NIH funding. We've had grant cancellations and folks who have had to dig deep with their resilience and keep going. We were only off by 1.6%, and to me, that's flat, and that's a win. And that's credit to all of you who keep writing those grants. In the months, Geraldine Harrelson is up in the top. Geraldine, want to wave to the crowd? She's part of our Office of Research and Development. She's actually the director. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I've heard anecdotally that in the months of April and July, we had the highest volume of submissions since OVPR started tracking the number of submissions going out. So despite the fact that there's lots of good reasons to feel like we're in a really tough place, we're keeping our heart up and we're keeping our energy up and we're continuing to put grants in. And that's what we've got to do. In the pack, that I get a report quarterly and at the end of the year, we had 17 individual PIs that had grants awarded of $1 million or more. So round of applause to this great group of folks. Did you get ahead of me? You got ahead of me. I saw the reflection. No, go. It's okay. You're good. You're good. Go ahead. I forgot to include this as a special shout out, but I also brought Stephen Aversa in as our new Associate Dean for Undergraduate and Graduate Education and Postdoctoral Training this spring. And he is stewarding our 116 graduate students who are conducting research in LCOM labs, 7 graduate students of which have individual fellowships, and they turned out 55 publications that were co-authored by our graduate students in the last year. So round of applause to the great work being done by graduate students. Oh, wait, there we go. Sorry, I went too far. We also have medical students who are very interested in engaging in research, and our medical students are looking to do research during their first and second years. And in the summer of 25, we had 63 medical students that participated in mentored research, and those students were funded by LCOM funding, the Cardiovascular Research Institute funding, and Cancer Center funding. And we also have a number of medical students that are on full year fellowships, either through the NIH, Sarnoff, which is a cardiovascular fellowship, and also Dean's fellowships that are going on. So learners at all levels are really actively engaged in the research enterprise as well. So it's not just faculty and staff that are engaged in moving our research portfolio forward. It's also our students and the great experiences they have with our faculty. What else have we done? So I think I might have included this last year. In the first, where's Gary Stein? Gary Stein. I'd been here about 45 days as your Dean of Research, and Gary said, "Can I meet with you?" And I said, "Oh, sure." And he's like, "I have the perfect grant that you are uniquely positioned to write." I said, "Gary, I just got here and I wasn't hired to write grants." "No, this is all you." And it was an opportunity with the Northern New England Clinical and Translational Research Program to write a supplement to get funding to leverage our relationship with the health network and to harvest electronic health record data for research purposes. And the interesting thing about that was many people have tried to do this before. And I don't think there was anything particularly magical about me except timing. I came at the right time. There had been some changeovers in leadership, and we got $1.6 million to establish a secure research enclave. And it's been a really great partnership between health network folks, college folks, the OVPR's office, and I'm happy to say we went live with a version of the enclave in June of 2025, and we are currently piloting it. And one of my big partners in crime is Steve Goldman, because right after Gary found me, Steve was one of the people I knew, being fairly new to the community, and I said, hey, Steve, you've got the IT team. Don't you want to be friends? Don't you want to do a research enclave? And he rolled up his sleeves and he said yes. And his team has been an instrumental part of the success of getting the enclave established, getting policies and procedures in place, establishing the governance around it, so that we can promote clinical and translational research. We can increase population health research to benefit Vermonters, and we can continue to grow research funding for clinical and translational research. So shout out to Steve, round of applause. Because almost everything I do kind of takes a village. So there's nothing, I'm just kind of the conductor in some of this. And I love that I've gotten to work with some great people on both sides, both institutions, within the College of Medicine, within UVM. And this is intended to reduce barriers to getting to do secondary data analysis projects for students, to getting to ask some population health questions with people who are just naturally receiving care. Maybe I shouldn't say this. If we'd had this for, I don't know, say like 25 years, we could be answering the question perhaps of what is the association or not of acetaminophen and autism. Because you could just go to the data and you could ask the data, do we see any evidence in the catchment area that we serve? Unfortunately, electronic health records coming to America was a lot later to come on the scene, so we're overly reliant on single-payer health systems around the world instead, which also conveniently indicate there is no association between acetaminophen and autism. Just saying. I mentioned this at the beginning. We launched the BioLabs Incubator. We had a soft launch in May. We had the official launch earlier this week. The greatest discovery in the world is useless if the only place that exists is in a scientific publication or in your lab. The important thing is that we take those discoveries and we turn them into either commercialized products that can go to market or clinical care practices and such. And the BioLabs Bioincubator is intended to promote commercialization by making it easy for faculty to consider startups. And we opened with the soft launch, I guess, in May. We've already got 4 companies in the bioincubator. Several of you were out there Tuesday. It was a really nice event. The president was there. We have wet lab space that startups can rent. We have touchdown space. We have relationships that we're establishing between the bioincubator and our cores. And we imagine that this over time will be a real distinguisher for UVM and a real talent magnet. So another big success. Here's one of my favorite parts of the address. So round of applause for all those great highlights. The highlight reel is actually one of the hardest things about this address because it's hard. They'll only give me somewhere between like 2.5 and 3 minutes. And it's hard to cull all of the great discoveries and put them together into this great package. And is Kaylee still here? Yes, no, she's like, I'm out. Anyway, Kaylee, for 2, 3 years now, I guess, has put together this great highlights reel, and I think it's a great way to showcase as much as we possibly can of the individual achievements of the faculty here in the college. So kudos to all of you for the great work. And if you didn't make the highlight reel, it's not because you're not great. We're just trying to fit as much in as we can. So maybe next year. All right. So that's all of the great work that you all have done since I last gave one of these addresses, and I think at an extraordinary time. So look at all of those accomplishments within the context of enormous pressures and uncertainty on us from the federal level in a way we've never experienced for the research enterprise. So I think big round of applause for keeping going, just keeping going. Because it's hard, it's been hard. But success is never final. And that's where we're in the transition part of the talk now. So what are we doing? We're making investments, and we're committed to continuing to making investments and launching new initiatives. So for those of you who don't know, I know, right? Sarah, would you like to stand up in the back? She's here in live mode. Sarah Wald has joined the Office for Research Development. Is that your official title? With Geraldine's team. For those of you who worked with Gagan Bajaj, Sarah has taken on the role that Gagan had played before, and Sarah is the LCOM person for complex proposals and all things grant related in the OVPR office. So welcome to Sarah. Actually works remotely, but you came in just for us, right? Just for us. Thank you. So if you see her at the reception, please go up, introduce yourself. She's lovely. She's very willing to work with our faculty on complex proposals and other grants, because what we're trying to do is invest in all of you to optimize success. So Sarah, welcome to our community. I think we're a lovely bunch. And Heidi Malaby has been part of Geraldine's team for a bit. And Heidi's leading the complex proposal team now, right? So Heidi and Sarah work very closely together for COBRA support and other complex types of grants. So welcome to you both. We're doing some organizational enhancements with our cores. So this is the first formal announcement. Before I arrived here, Gordon Jensen, who was my predecessor, had created the Center for Biomedical Shared Resources. He had invited Doug Todges to be the director, and we consolidated many of those basic science cores on the first floor of the Firestone Research Building. We're continuing to mature as an organization. We're continuing to grow our cores and to think about what makes them more valuable to the community. So we've recently made the decision to elevate Doug to the senior director level. So he is responsible for coordinating across the CBSR cores. And then he is assisted from a business administration perspective by Nicole DeLance. And then we have 4 core leaders in our basic science course: Julie Dragon, who is the director of CBSR Bioinformatics; Doug, who is now leading our blended core of microscopy, imaging, and cytometry; Y. Lamb, who is the director of CBSR Proteomics; and coming to you live for the first time, Booker Davis has agreed to become the director of CBSR Genomics. So round of applause for those great leaders. For those of you who don't know Booker, this is Booker. Booker joined the Department of Emergency Medicine 6 months ago, maybe? Very good. Coming to us by way of Northwestern, if I'm not mistaken. His research focuses on brain immune microbiome in the context of neurodegeneration following TBI. He's got a wealth of experience on research and immune and microbiome contributions to TBI. He's well-versed in a variety of specialized techniques. And we've agreed, and by that I've agreed, that his goal as the core leader is to catalyze microbiome research here at UVM. So please, if you see Booker, give him a welcome. And if you do anything microbiome related, seek Booker out, have a conversation, because I think this is fruitful ground for research at UVM. We also launched formally, out loud and with fanfare, our Office of Research and Engagement. So this is a partnership between me as the Dean of Research and Rebecca Wilcox as the Dean of Faculty, with co-leadership from Renee Stapleton and Michael. The purpose of the Office of Research and Engagement is to really surface the many, many wonderful assets we have available to support research at all levels of career development into kind of a one-stop shop, or at least one doorway. And so Michael and Renee are working closely with Rebecca and me to get the office off the ground. This week, they formally launched their own R Scholars program, where they will be mentoring a set of 10, is it 10 people-ish? 10 faculty members who are committed to submitting an R-level application for the February cycle. And again, we're looking for investments that we can make that will increase the probability of success on a shorter timeline. And so we think this is a program that can really yield benefits in first-time successes, better scores earlier on, and faster turnaround. So my thanks to Michael and Renee for accepting those leadership roles. And if you haven't chatted with them, I would say seek them out. Oops. For those of you who don't know, we've actually had a research MRI for a number of years. And as big, expensive things are wont to do, it is dying. So we are investing in a new research MRI. The construction is being done right now to shore up the space, pull out the old MRI. Alexi Potter is here. Alexi has generously offered to invest in a new projector system that will help support fMRI research. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the project will be completed by the end of the calendar year. The MRI will be in place-ish, barring unforeseen things. We have a lot of research that involves MRI as a technique. The HBCD study, the ABCD study, many of the studies that Julie Dumas does, some in neurological sciences. So we consider this a critical piece of instrumentation that we have to have in a research form. So we're making this investment. We're also trying to strengthen flow cytometry. One of the pieces of equipment that we had is an old cell sorter, required a lot of hands-on intervention. And so we have made the strategic decision to invest in the BD Becton Dickinson FACS Discover S8 cell sorter. Doug can tell you lots of detailed things about what the sorter can do. It can almost make you breakfast. Excuse me, it's a lot of high automation. It also has imaging capabilities built into the interface. So many of you who do flow cytometry and sorting and then pass it on to Mick for imaging, this will all be integrated into one piece of equipment. If there is a silver lining to be had with the strange behavior at the federal level and what is, oh, you gotta go. Okay. And the effect that all of this is having on the US economy is places like Becton Dickinson have lots of sorters sitting around unpurchased. And so we were able to actually negotiate quite a good deal to bring in sort of state-of-the-art cell sorting. I've been working with Doug. Our goal is to increase hours of use. So the flow facility now is open from when to when, Doug? 7 a.m. in the morning to 11 at night. We are committed to doing what we can to facilitate more do-it-yourself, because that holds down costs for everybody, and making sure that we have the state-of-the-art that we need in our core resources. Because again, if we can share the load of having high-end instrumentation and technology, as things get uncertain and unstable, I think we can ride those waves a little more readily. Probably should have put this next door to the ORE comment, but I didn't. We're also very interested in getting feedback. So if you have your phone, this is a real life QR code that works. You're not obligated to do this right now, but if you put on the QR code and pull, it will take you to the survey of a research needs assessment. On Monday of next week, we will also be sending it out, sending the link out via email to the entire college, because we want to establish a baseline related to the resources that we have and your satisfaction thereof. So don't have to do it now, but please either take a shot of this for later or when the email comes your way, please complete it. Because the only way we know what you need, what's working and what's not working, is if you share your impressions through some of these surveys. Ah, yes, this is my favorite. Not my favorite. We're also trying to put more energy into philanthropy. So about a year ago, I have a research advisory council, wonderful people who give their time, attention, and service, sort of the brain trust to me. And many of them kept asking, what are we doing for research philanthropy? What are we doing for research? Can't we be doing small dollar donation fundraising? And I was not getting a lot of great nibbles on how to go about doing that. But with encouragement from them, I approached the dean and I approached the foundation and I said, look, we don't need you to do it, but can you just give us a place that money can go? If we get somebody to give us $25, if we get somebody to give us $1,000, because the foundation, rightfully so, focuses on bigger dollar donations, bigger gifts, 25,000 and above kind of things. But, you know, for any of you who followed the Obama political campaign, you know that people will give all kinds of money and it all adds up. So by the end of December of 24, we had a research fund. If you follow that QR code, it will take you to the fund page where you too can make a contribution to the research fund. And we are gearing up for the first time, well, maybe not the first time since I've been here. We're going to do a philanthropy drive for Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday is always the Tuesday right after Thanksgiving. So we'll be working with the foundation on how to do a giving drive for small dollar donations straight to the research fund. And again, this is intended to create more flexibility of discretionary resources, one might say, to support the research enterprise. It may be channeled to specific initiatives, it may be channeled toward the cores, it may be channeled toward individual investigators, but the whole idea is to begin doing some grassroots types of fundraising. So if you're interested, please follow the QR code. You can also get to this off of my research landing page on the college's Drupal site. Okay, can we go back one? So here's where I made a mistake in my presentation. And I had a link that when we pulled up the slides 15 minutes before go, we realized one of the links didn't work. So I'm going to paraphrase what it was. What it was about a 1.5-minute clip of Michael Crow, the president of Arizona State University, giving remarks at a conference recently. And I don't have it. What he was sitting at on a comfy chair, and he said, you know, Tim Cook, and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk get a lot of credit for big deal technologies. And he said, like this. And he said, but by my count, about 5,000 different research discoveries go into the success of this device that you carry around in your pocket right now. And that research, by and large, began in our universities, but nobody knows it. And to me, that was very, very powerful and very emblematic of the moment that we're in. And so the rest of the talk and a little bit of what happened last night at Research Rally is me trying to invite you to dare a bit greatly with me. Can we go to the next slide, Liz? And do things like say yes if medical communication contacts you to go on Across the Fence. How many of you know what Across the Fence is? That's more than some other question I answered where almost nobody knew what it was. That's very impressive to me. So 19 of us since January have gone on Across the Fence and talked about health phenomena of one sort or another. And I think I was the first one to go, right, for Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. And I was shocked, I say, as I was walking around the college at the number of people who stopped me and said, hey, I saw you on Across the Fence. I was sitting there eating my lunch and I was like, I know her, that's Kate. And I was like, seriously? Tons of Vermonters watch Across the Fence. One of the ways we help to continue to turn the tide on public opinion about higher education, about the value of research, about the importance of the discoveries that we're making, is to raise our voices. And this is a really simple way to do it. Stephanie, how long is the interview? 12, 10? 13 minutes from start to finish. No rehearsing, no multiple takes. You build out a script in collaboration with Stephanie and Keith. Now it's Amy. With Amy, it was Keith when I did it. And you walk into the studio and they have you sit down and they mic you up and we put some gear, Larner cups there for, the subliminal messages about Larner. And it's just sort of a conversation across the fence. And I think everybody that's done this has had a similar kind of experience where lots of people have seen it. It's been very powerful, and it helps the community understand why we do what we do and why it matters to them. I had women come up to me and say, I had no idea that my body worked like that, and that's what HPV did, and that's what the pap smear was doing. And it's wild things that many of us take for granted because we do this all day, every day. Right? And the more we can put a human face on what we do, the more we can help folks understand why what we do matters, the better. So across the fence, please say yes. This was, I don't know, April, May, could have been June. I think I got it from Wendy Koenig, our government relations person, said there's this national campaign by this group called United for Medical Research. They want to collect stories about your why. Like, why do you do what you do? Why do you study what you study? Why you're at the organization you're at? Why do you get up every day and do your professional thing? And Christian Pulcini, who is, I think, duly affiliated with both PEDS and emergency medicine, sent me the sweetest note. He's like, hey, I'm really sorry. I'm going to miss Research Rally. It's one of my favorite events. I'll be in Vienna sharing my research, which is really fabulous for him. So happy for him. Not just a little bit jealous that he's getting to go international. Anyway, he said, I don't know if you know, but the My Why campaign with United for Medical Research is up, and we've got some folks there. And I was like, oh, okay. So I followed the link, and it's got a map of the US, and you click on each state to see who's doing what. And so I clicked on ours, and look, 6 people have put in their stories. So a round of applause to the 6 brave souls. And then because I'm just a titch competitive, I wanted to know how we stacked up with other places. And so I start clicking on the states. I was like, how many does Texas have? Like 1. How many does California have? Because these are big, population-wise, they just have many, many, many more people. And I didn't do every single state, but the states I did big and little, I did red and blue, north and south. We, by and large, have the largest group of folks who've told their stories. So round of applause for that. You all show up. And I can't tell you how important I think just showing up and sharing your story is for the moment that we're in. So following on this, I'm catching up on my thing. Stephanie, how many of you know Stephanie Knivik? Stephanie, put your hand in the air, please. Stephanie is the director of medical communications. If you don't know Stephanie yet, you should get to know her. She's in the nice glassed enclosure on the first floor of the Given building. Stephanie came to me and she said, what do you think about doing a local My Why? I said, great, let's do it. What's that going to look like? And we sort of, no, go ahead. You're good. You're good. Have I made you twitchy, Liz? I'm sorry. Anyway, so Stephanie came with this idea and I said, I think that's great. What do you think about having postcards? So over here, we have a lovely display of My Why postcards. So if you are like, I still like to write with a pen. If you take one of these, fill it out, drop it off to medical communications, a couple of things are going to happen. They're going to record it into a database, locally, ours, so that we can query it for stories, for sharing. I also said we might enter it into the United for Biomedical Research database just to get our numbers up there too. And just for fun, we might also hang them up on the walls so that you can actually see each other's stories. Can be a whole postcard full of ideas, could be a quote, could be a word, could be anything you want it to be. But engage. Please, please, please engage. Please think about your why. Please share your why. Not long after the national campaign launched, Wendy Koenig circled back and said, the congressional delegation would really like to know if we've got any stories. I was like, I don't have any stories. So part of this is we want to amass the data so that when the congressional delegation needs data to make the case for why we should continue to invest in biomedical research, the impact of what we do, the lives that we're changing, whatever you want to say about it. We have lots of nice organized data that we can package for them to have conversations with other congressional leaders. So this is one of our new initiatives, My Why. Ask me about research. I love research. This is a holdover from last year. This is going to keep going, and we're going to keep continuing to encourage you to work with medical communications to share your stories. Again, this is about engagement and media reach and building our research brand. And next slide. Just to inspire you. Maybe 2 clicks? No, here it goes.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Warshaw. I'm a scientist, and as a scientist, I feel it's really important that we know how to communicate our science to people. And that's why the Larner College of Medicine has created these buttons. You pick one up and start a conversation with someone. And that's also why I'm here with my friend Jack. Show you how much fun it is to have a conversation.
So that was just, there's a whole, like, what, 3.5 minutes of Dave having a conversation with Jack, explaining to Jack what his research is about and why he does what he does. And again, we are story-making creatures. We understand the world most readily when we can use some kind of narrative around it. And so I absolutely believe that sharing our stories with each other, with the public, with the scientific community, with our political representatives is one of many ways we can help continue to influence the process for how we navigate what I think will continue to be relatively extraordinary times. So I would invite you to tell your story. Next up, Liz. And I'm almost done, I promise. Yeah, this is the scary one. So coming soon, and by soon I mean after I take a vacation and come back, I'm going to launch a newsletter from the Dean of Research. I have come up with a name for it. It's going to be called the Research Pulse, Navigating the Endless Frontier in Challenging Times. How many of you know what the endless frontier comes from? Nobody? Couple of you. Vannevar Bush, after World War II, was given the great honor of coming up with what does the biomedical research enterprise look like, and he conceived of NSF and federal funding for research and how the university ecosystem was where high-risk research could begin and then be taken forward. And there were GPS and supercomputing and lots of discoveries grew out of science, the endless frontier, and that dream of the university system being the research and development arm of the US government and our R&D. And so I think people are hungry for information. There's a lot coming at us all the time. So the point of the newsletter is to provide you with critical information, metrics that matter, you know, things that are still up in the air, the FNA thing. But being able to share that kind of information in an organized fashion with folks. Intel from the field, mission critical updates and insights, community achievements. We need to keep celebrating each other. We need to do that all the time, not just once a year when I give an address. So part of the newsletter will be to celebrate accomplishments and then classified information. And if I can figure it out, I'm going to embed Easter eggs in it just for fun. I also committed through Stephanie and Steve that I'm going to launch it one time out of the mass distribution LCOM Dean's address. But if you really want to know, you're going to have to sign up to receive, because I don't want to be flooding people's inbox unless they want it. It'll make it kind of fun, right? You only know if you want to know. So that will be launching. And last, we're at the conclusion of this. I started with inviting you to think about daring greatly in your discoveries, daring greatly in how you advocate for the importance of research. So my final slide and message to you is this. I invite you to step into the arena with me. We had 6 or 7 brave souls last night that stepped up and told their stories of how they got interested in their topic, what science they were working on. 7 minutes to tell an important story is not a lot of time, but they did it. We also had folks pull cards and give impromptu answers to burning type questions. So as we celebrate the remarkable achievements of our research community, I want us to remember that discovery begins with curiosity and courage. The spirit of innovation thrives when we dare greatly, when we support each other, and when we remain steadfast in our pursuit of knowledge. Together, we are shaping the future of medicine and science, not just for Vermont, but for the world. So thank you for your dedication, your creativity, your passion. The future of research at the Larner College of Medicine is bright because of each and every one of you. So let's continue to ask bold questions, seek transformative answers, and celebrate every step along the way. And let's step into the arena together and keep daring greatly. That's it. Now there's food and booze. That's it. You're free to go. Reception is in the Hale, yeah, Liz? Yes, Hale Gallery.